दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरे प्रिये नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य तोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे सुभिज्य स्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजय आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। आप सभी का स्वागत है।
We welcome all of you to this session on Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
और हम पढ़ेंगे भगवद गीता के पहले अध्याय के 24-25 श्लोक।
We will study the 24th and 25th verse of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In the previous session, we studied that when the conch was blown from both sides and Arjun lifted his bow and asked Bhagavan to place the chariot between both the armies so that I can see with whom I have to fight. And the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra, that is Duryodhan, in order to help him, who all have arrived. So, having heard these words, what did Bhagavan do next? That is explained here.
स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम् भीष्म द्रोण प्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्येतान् संवेतान् कुरुनिति। संजय ने कहा, हे भरतवंशी गुड़ाकेश अर्जुन।
Sanjay said, O descendant of Bharata, thus addressed by Gudakesh Arjuna, Rishikesh Shri Krishna placed the magnificent chariot between the two armies facing Bhishma, Drona, and all the rulers of the earth and said, O Parth, Arjun, behold these Kauravas assembled here. So Bhagavan, he obeyed the order of Arjuna. The devotee obeys the order of Bhagavan. But here, Bhagavan is the charioteer of Arjuna's chariot. So Bhagavan is following the order of Arjuna. So here Bhagavan is addressed as Rishikesh. So Rishika refers to the senses. He is the master of the senses. That means he is everyone's controller. But still, he is being controlled, and the one who is controlling him is Gudakesh. So it refers to one who has conquered over ignorance or sleep. That person conquers over Bhagavan also. Because Bhagavan just wants the prema, the bhava. In Gita, Bhagavan himself has said that the Maya of Bhagavan, because it is his Maya, one can cross over this Maya only after taking shelter of Bhagavan. So this indicates that Arjun must have been surrendered to Bhagavan. That is why he is beyond Maya, and that's why he is ordering Bhagavan. So it was told earlier that when Arjun went to Dwarka, and there he was asked to decide, or rather to choose, that either you choose Bhagavan or his army, and he chose Bhagavan. That means he loved Bhagavan and he is a devotee of Bhagavan, because the bhakta or the devotee doesn't even want liberation, he just wants Bhagavan. He just wants service to Bhagavan. So for such a devotee, Bhagavan himself becomes surrendered, or he takes shelter of such devotee. In Bhagavatam, he says that I walk behind my devotee so that I get purified by the dust of his feet. So this is indicating that how we should be careful on the spiritual path. Because Gudaka means carelessness, sleep, Tandra, ignorance. So if we want to achieve Bhagavan, we have to conquer this Gudaka. So the spiritual path, it is not some toy. It's like a sharp-edged sword. One has to deal with it very carefully, otherwise one's hand will get cut. So that's why the sadhaka should be very careful. The practitioner should be very careful in following the rules and regulations. So this is what the word Gudaka is indicating to us. And just like in the previous session, I already said that placing the chariot between the armies means doing self-introspection, analyzing one's own qualities. And that can be done only by a Gudakesh, one who is careful. So that's why Bhagavan, he placed Arjuna's chariot between both the armies. So actually, Bhagavan was told to place the chariot between the two armies, and Bhagavan should have kept quiet after placing the chariot there. He was not asked by Arjuna to speak after placing the chariot. He was simply asked to place the chariot.
तो यावदेताम निरीक्षण, इतना ही कहा था कि मेरा रथ दोनों सेनाओं के बीच में खड़ा कर दीजिए। तो भगवान ने रथ खड़ा किया, लेकिन खड़ा करने के बाद
So Bhagavan placed the chariot and he also spoke something. And from here, the whole scene, it takes a different turn. So after placing the chariot, Bhagavan said, and where did he place the chariot? Especially in front of Bhishma and Drona. The army was spread. Army was spread around in a big place, but Krishna especially placed the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona. And after placing the chariot, what he spoke, that was deadly. It was terrifying to the heart. He said, all the Kauravas who are assembled here, please observe them. So there are 2 points here. One is that he placed the chariot in front of Bhishma and Dronacharya. And as you all know, that Arjun was the best disciple.
हालांकि भीष्म तो सभी का पितामह है, कौरवों का भी है, पांडवों का भी है,
favorite disciple of Dronacharya.
हैं, लेकिन भीष्म का विशेष प्रेम अर्जुन से था.
Bhishma had special love towards Arjun. And the primary reason is that Arjun was the best archer among the Kauravas. So like in any family, in any field, if somebody is expert and another child is born who is also expert, so the person will have natural attraction to the child who is expert in that field. So Bhishma himself was the best archer, and Arjun was also like that. That's why obviously Bhishma was attached to Arjuna, and he must have taught some special skills to Arjuna. That is quite natural in our family. If somebody is expert in some particular field and another child is also wants to become expert in that field, so the child will learn from that person. So Arjun must have learned something from Bhishma. Bhishma is very experienced. Both had lot of love among each other because of family relation also, and also because both were great archers. So seeing this, Arjuna's heart underwent a transformation. His own attachment which he had towards Bhishma, and when Bhagavan is telling watch the Kaurava, so he himself is also Kaurava only. So Bhagavan could have told that watch the sons of Dhritarashtra. So Bhagavan is not using the word Dhartarashtra, he is using the word Kurun. So from that we can infer that Bhagavan himself injected the attachment in the heart of Arjuna so that he can get an opportunity to explain Gita. So watching this, Arjun, there was some kind of moha generated in the heart of Arjuna, and that will be explained. So normally the attachments that we have are of 2 types. One is family attachment, another is Vidya attachment. So Bhishma is in a family relation with Arjun, and Dronacharya is connected with Arjun with education. And in family relation, Bhishma is eldest is the greatest, and he is a topmost object of attachment for Arjun. He could have had attachment for others also, but especially to Bhishma, he was a great warrior, and he had lot of attachment to Dronacharya. Dronacharya had lot of attachment to Arjun because Arjun was his favorite, great disciple. So seeing this, this attachment which was already there in Arjun, but it just became more activated. It just arose. So it happens that whatever we have attachment for, like if we have attachment for eating some specific item of food and we are going somewhere, and if we watch that food, and or if we experience the smell of that food, then immediately the desire to eat that or consume that food will arise. The desire gets activated. It arises in our heart. We have various types of samskaras which are lying in like a sleep mode, but in a specific situations, those samskaras, they get activated, they arise. So same happened with Arjuna. He had greatest attachment to Bhishma and Drona, and seeing that, his attachment got activated, and this will be described in the upcoming verses. And then he had attachment to others also, not just to Bhishma and Drona, because many other family members were also present there. So this is described in the upcoming verse. What did Arjun see, and after seeing, what was the effect on his mind? So this is going to be described from the 26th verse onwards.
ससुरान् सुहृदश्चैव सैनयोरुभयोरपि। इसके पश्चात अर्जुन ने दोनों
translation, thereafter Arjuna also saw present there in the midst of both the armies his paternal uncles, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers and cousins, sons and nephews, grandsons and grandnephews, friends, fathers-in-law and well-wishers. So actually all the various relations that we have in family, all those type of relatives were present there on the battlefield from the side of Pandavas as well as Kauravas. So like we have relations from paternal side and maternal side, and after marriage there are relations from the wife's side, and when children get married, then there are more relations from there also. So all these different types of relatives were present there. So if all relations are present there, it's a cause of joy, because when there is a huge family gathering with all relatives, everyone is happy. But here it is the different situation. All relatives are present to kill. So this is a cause of great anxiety for Arjuna, and it took hold in his heart, and his mind became extremely disturbed because of this upcoming death of so many people. So he started wondering, what am I going to do here? So many times it happens that many times we have envy towards somebody, or we have anger towards somebody. That person is not in front of us, and we think that when we meet them, we will tell him like this, we'll do like this. But when the person actually comes in front of us, then our mind changes. Then we don't feel so much anger like we were feeling in the absence of that person. And especially if that person is elder to us and he has done some benefit to us. Even if we have lot of anger towards that person, we cannot speak that much. That's why nowadays we see people don't meet personally, and they write a lot on internet, on email, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you write, even if the person is not in front of us, That's why we write. If that person would have been actually in front of us, we would not have spoken so much, so many harsh words about that person. So we often observe this. So Arjun, first of all, he already knew. It is not that he had not seen. He had already seen these persons. He already knew these persons. All this analysis has already been done before the war. Who all will be coming to fight against us when they were meeting in their camp. So it's not that they did not know. Both the armies knew that who all we have to face in the war. So that time he did not have any bewilderment or moha, because these people were not in front of Arjun. But now that they are personally present in front of him, so now that feeling of moha is arising in his heart, and that is being described here. This 27th verse is extremely important because Gita takes a different turn from here. The translation: the son of Kunti, seeing all these relatives present on the battlefield, became overwhelmed with deep compassion, and while grieving spoke the following words. So here it is explained that after seeing them, Arjuna's heart got filled with deep compassion. So this compassion is for the relatives, the bandhun, because we have in Sanskrit we have two words, daya and kripa. So daya is in a general way, and kripa is according to relation. When we have any relation, and according to the relation we have compassion on somebody, that is called kripa. And in general, when we do any benefit or favor to somebody, that is called daya. So here, that is why the word kripa is used, that his heart got filled with deep compassion. That's why these people are referred to here as bandhu, or the relatives. So just before some time, Arjuna's own words, when the chariot was not placed between the two armies, then Arjun himself had used the words Dharta Rashtra Durbuddhe. He referred to these people as Dharta Rashtra, the assistants of Dhritarashtra or Duryodhan, and he referred to them as Durbuddhi, evil minded. They have arrived here to fight. So those people whom he was earlier referring to as Durbuddhi, same people now he is referring to as Bandhun, that is relatives. So often it happens in our life also that we refer to our own family members as evil minded. Those who are our friends, our relatives, we express our anger on them only. We don't express our anger towards strangers. Our enmity, envy is against those people only for whom we have friendly mood. Those who were lovable to us, they only become our enemies. All of a sudden, nobody becomes an enemy. So this duality of raga and dvesh, that is attachment and aversion, these are two sides of the same coin. Like a coin has two sides, head and tail. Similarly, our mind also, it has this duality. The one whom we have attachment for, we also get aversion for the same person. So when rag or attachment arises, the dvesh or aversion sleeps. And when dvesh or aversion arises, rag or attachment sleeps. So this is how the world moves ahead. All the time there is raga and dvesh in this world. So earlier, the same people who were referred to as durbuddhi or evil-minded by Arjun, now they are referred to as bandhun or relatives. Earlier, he wanted to see with whom he has to fight. Now he wants to show compassion to the same people. And after some time, he will again fight with them.
ऐसी रहती है व्यक्ति की।
So this is the state of mind of a human being. So here, what is important is that Duryodhan had come. He had also seen all this, and seeing this, he went to his Guru Dronacharya and described about the army to him. Now there was no change of heart in Duryodhan, but we see that Arjuna's mind and had changed. So both have seen the armies. So the difference in our vision is based on our bhava. All our different relations that we have, they are all dependent on our bhava. The one whom we consider friend today, we consider because we have the friendly mood. If the friendly mood changes, we will consider him as enemy. So the world which we call as bhava, it moves on bhava. Bhavo hi bhava karanam. The reason for this bhava or this material world, its cause is bhava, our mood. So this samsara, the material world, it moves on bhava. With whom we feel happy, with whom we feel sad. These all move on bhava. So if we feel sad in some situation, when our bhava changes, then we feel nice in that situation. We have friendship for some person and our bhava changes, then the same person appears very harsh to us and we feel hatred for that person. So we say that we don't want to see your face. So what happens is that eyes are same. Eyes have not changed. The picture which is being captured in the eyes, it's all same only. But the feeling that we have inside, we based on that we get a perception. Then we interpret accordingly. Then we conceal. So how do we conceal that? What is the program inside us? What type of bhava, what type of samskara we have? Accordingly, the object appears to us. There is no change in the object, but the change has happened inside us. That's why the object is appearing accordingly. So this is all the game of bhava. So that's why now Arjuna's bhava has changed and he is seeing Duryodhan with a feeling of compassion. But why Duryodhan was not feeling like that? Duryodhan doesn't have that type of attachment. Of course, every person has attachment in this world, but the depth of attachment, its intensity varies. The range of attachment that is also that also varies among people. So some people, their attachment is in a very limited range, and some people, their asakti, their field of attachment is very wide. It's very large. So those whom we call as Mahatma, great people, their range of attachment is very big. And those whom we call as selfish, their range of attachment is very limited. And because that range is limited, their intensity in that limited range is very high. So outside that range, they cannot see anything else. They just keep themselves immersed in that limited reach of attachment which has deep intensity. So like if you are If you
तो उसी प्रकार आसक्ति जब ज्यादा फैल जाती है तो
when the attachment spreads, then its intensity goes down. Like if we go away from light, its intensity will feel less intensity.
क्योंकि जितना जितनी जितनी ज्यादा हम अपनी आसक्ति से प्रभावित रहते हैं
The more we are influenced by our attachment, we cannot think in a neutral, in an objective manner. Then our thinking is influenced by that intensity of the attachment. So Duryodhan was observing from the lens of his attachment, so he was differentiating between friends and enemies.
अपना भाई नहीं देख रहा है, शत्रु देख रहा है।
He,
हालांकि पांडवों ने उसका कोई अपकार नहीं किया है, उसका कुछ बिगाड़ा नहीं है, पर उसकी अपनी बड़ी आसक्ति है।
so Duryodhan, he has lot of attachment to his property, land, his prestige. That's why he is considering the Pandavas as enemies, even though they are brothers and they have not done any harm to him. So Duryodhan cannot think outside that. He is always observing them as enemies only. So that's why attachment is of two types. One is blind attachment. Sometimes it is also called as blind faith. And the second attachment is which has eyes, which has deliberation. So the person with such attachment, he deliberates. And then above that, there is another attachment which is called prema. So that is a spiritual substance. So the sattvic people, their heart is large. That means they have a wide range of thinking. Their range of attachment is very big. Those who are narrow heart, those who are petty hearted, they work, their attachment is in a very small field. This is mine, that is yours. And those are large hearted, they think about the entire earth. So Arjun is that type of person, and that's why Bhagavan is his charioteer, and such people are qualified for spiritual path. So Arjun also has attachment, but his range of attachment is very big. He is not just thinking of his own brothers, the four other Pandavas. He is thinking about the distant relatives also. So this is also attachment. But such person is receptive to hearing. That's why Arjun, he hears Bhagavad Gita. He is a student of Gita. The other people, they are not deliberating like this. So that's why it is said here that the son of Kunti, seeing all these relatives present on the battlefield, became overwhelmed with deep compassion. And what was the cause of this deep compassion? It was mamatva, attachment. It is not the type of compassion that we think in general way, like doing benefit to others. This is his own only. If you think deeply, this is also cause of violence. Attachment is the cause of violence. When a person is attached, that person cannot be non-violent. Why? Because wherever we have attachment or a feeling of possessiveness, we'll try to protect it. And anybody who tries to harm that, we will fight to protect our object of attachment. Like Duryodhan has attachment to his family, his position, land, property. That's why he is fighting against Pandavas. Arjun's range of attachment is wide, so he will not fight against them. But if some third party army comes, which has no relation with the Kauravas, Pandavas, so here to all the relatives have been named. Somebody's maternal uncle, grandfathers, even till great grandfathers, till Bahlik also. Even Bahlik was also there. Somadatta, Bhurishrava. Till four generations, there were people who were fighting. Bahlik was the brother of Shantanu, the uncle of Bhishma. He is also here in this battle. This is very interesting. So they all have relations with them. So he's thinking, if these people will all die, then how I will live? So life runs on the bhav. If there is no object of attachment, we'll just go mad. So that's why nowadays in today's world, loneliness it's a big problem, because people don't have any relation. The center in the family, that has been destroyed, which was the center. So nowadays we have nuclear family, and there is no strength in that family. It's just nuclear. There is no depth of relation in that family. Today relations are existing, tomorrow's relation will be not existing. Today people are not even marrying, they are just going through live-in relationship. So there is no commitment that we will stay together as husband and wife. Whenever they can just pick up their luggage and get out. We all have different bank accounts, we have different cars, everything is already all this bhava is already there, that any time we may get separated. Earlier when people were married, the thought of separation never came in their mind. There was no such concept of divorce. Now this next month Karwa Chauth festival will be there. So in that festival, the wives pray that I should get this same husband in next lives also. So from foreign country, some woman had come and she was asking, what type of foolishness is this? Why they are praying like this? That in next life we want same husband. In same life only we change so many husbands. So the other lady said that no, we are not fools. You are fool. We have trained her already. There will be no need to train her in the next life. So you are changing husbands and you have to train him every time. But we have a fixed husband and we have already trained him. So he will only continue. So known devil is better. To the common quote in English. It's better than have a new devil about whom we don't know. So the point is that the relations earlier were so deep that there was no such concept of separation. That thought never came. Nowadays relations have become so fickle that the person, he doesn't understand where am I. If you have to live material life happily also, then you should have good material relations. Leave aside spirituality. Even if you want to live happily in your material life, happiness comes from relations. A person alone, he cannot be happy. If you leave a person alone and tell him that we will give you everything, but he will not be allowed to make any relation, then he will go mad. That's why these big people, they are kept under house arrest. So they don't have lack of any facility. Everything is there. But the only problem is he cannot meet any of his known person. There is he is prohibited from talking to anybody else. So that is the punishment given to him, because it said that human being is a social animal. He wants to meet others, talk to them. That's why Bhagavan has given us the power of speech, by which we can communicate, we can discuss, we can argue, we can debate, we can fight. So this has rasa. So that ras is not existing in today's society. So what do people do when they are depressed? Then they just go for intoxication. So this is the difficulty. So the point is that in the material world, in this the society that we are living, our identity is according to the relations. Any person, he will have relations. he is brother of somebody, she may be sister of somebody, somebody is husband, somebody is wife. So his personality is based on these relations. If you separate all these relations, what will remain? What will you be as a remainder? If you don't are not a spiritual person, then okay, leave it. It's a different matter. The spiritualist has no problem. Even if these relations are lost, he has no problem. His relation is primarily with Bhagavan. But if a materialist, if you remove all his relations, what will he be as a remainder? So if any mother's child dies, only child doesn't die, the mother also dies. Because the mother is the mother because of the child. If there is no child, where is the mother? She may be living physically, but her identity of being a mother, which was there earlier, that identity is lost because now there is nobody to call her as mother. So when the husband dies, wife also dies. When the brother dies, the other brother or sister also dies because that relation is not existing now. So why was he called brother? When the other brother is not existing, how do you call him as brother? So our identity is because of our relations. So now you imagine that in in a flash all your relatives die. How will you feel? This whole world will be vacant for you. You will feel like committing suicide. You will not feel like living. So exactly this is what happened to Arjun. In our relations, even if one relative dies, how much pain we feel. So actually the pain we are feeling is not because of the death of that relative. It is because the pain we are feeling is because of our own death. From the when one relative has died, proportionately some part of us has also died. So otherwise, when somebody in our neighboring family dies, why don't we feel sad? Because with his or her death, we do have not died. So we don't deliberate like this. We think that this person is sad because his son has died, daughter has died. No, he is not sad because of that. Actually, the cause of his grief is that in that proportion, he himself or herself has also died. That is why he is sad. So our identity is a combination of all these relations. Any person, whatever relations he has. So for every relation, he has some percentage of attachment in that particular relation. That so he feels like my some percentage of my identity is invested in this such person, and I am myself a sum total of all these relations. So if you ask somebody his identity, first thing he will tell his name, but after that he will tell that I am son of such a person, I am husband of such a person, or I am brother or sister of such a person, or I am a citizen of such a country. That is also a relation only. So other than name, all that we speak about our identification or about our identity will be or based on relations. Like if you are working in some big company, we say I'm an employee of this company, I'm a judge, I'm a police officer, or I'm a retired servant. So we are identifying ourselves with that relation only. So now if all these relations are removed, then we are completely dead. Nothing will remain. So that's why Arjun says that I prefer to die rather than live without such relatives. Whom will I address as my sister or brother or son or such relations? And if I cannot see any relative, if I cannot identify myself with them, what will be the pleasure in my life? What is the use of living? So that's why Arjun is seeing a very big imminent calamity, because this type of calamity doesn't come in anybody's life. In somebody's life, one or two people may die, but how come everybody will die? But what Arjun is seeing, like every relative has arrived there. So this is the fundamental problem in the uh, shown in Bhagavad Gita. Because after this, in the next chapter, when Bhagavan will speak, the first thing he will explain is that you are not this body. So actually it becomes difficult to understand what is the connection or the sangati that Bhagavan is telling you are not this body. So in our Shastra, this connection which is called sangati is extremely important. Whenever acharyas write commentaries, it is very important for them to explain the connection of this verse with the previous verse or this chapter with the previous chapter. Because in Shastra, there is nothing which is not interconnected. A wise person, an intelligent person never speaks anything which is just random or not connected.
आम्रान पृष्ठे कोविदारा नाचस्ते, किसी ने पूछा तो आम के लिए था, अमरूद की बात करता है, ऐसी एक कहावत है। मैं पूछ आपसे रहा हूँ,
So like if somebody is asking about a mango and you are explaining about guava,
तो ये असंगत हो गया ना।
so this is not having any connection. But in Shastra, there is nothing that is random. So this connection is very important to be established. Unless and until you establish this connection, you won't understand suddenly why Bhagavan started speaking this or speaking that. So that's why it is very important to understand what is the root of the problem in Bhagavad Gita. The root of the problem is this mamatva or possessiveness, and it is the cause of all the violence. So as long as you have mamatva or possessiveness feeling towards somebody or some object, there will be violence. And since we have possessiveness for our body, there is some violence, so nobody can be completely non-violent. That's why Bhagavan begins with this, that you are the Atma, you are not the body. This is the mist, this is the secret. So now that doesn't mean that you can just kill anybody. No, he is not telling that you just go and kill everybody. He is explaining what is the problem that you are having. If you hear Arjun, you will feel that Arjun, what is telling is correct only. He's not telling anything wrong, why Bhagavan is speaking all this? Why is he deviating Arjun's mind? Now, out of respect for Bhagavan, he may not speak this directly, but this is his inner mood. So this is not the reality actually. Bhagavan is going deep into Arjuna's statements, and because we are like Arjun, we also have these problems what Arjuna is having, and because we don't understand our problems as our problems, that's why we don't understand the solution also. When we don't understand our problem as a problem, how do we understand its solution? And even if somebody gives the solution, why will we accept it? So this is the problem in today's society, that today people are considering the problems themselves as solutions. Today everybody is a guru. He doesn't want to accept only that I have problem. He thinks that this happens to everybody. What is so great in that? If somebody dies naturally, you will grieve. No, he is not finding a solution to the problem. He has just accepted the problem. So when you just accept the problem, then you will always remain miserable only, because the problem will not go away. Like if you are sick or if you have a fever and somebody says that what is so big deal about that? Everybody gets fever sometime. Is there somebody who never got a fever? Do you know anybody who never suffered from fever? So what is so great about that? So if I start speaking like this, then I will not do any treatment for the fever, and I'll keep suffering from the fever. So this is the condition today. That the root cause of our problems, of our suffering, that is attachment, raga dvesha, which is called in Yoga Sutra as the Pancha Klesh, the 5 kleshas. So these are the kleshas in our life. Very nicely, Patanjali Rishi has explained in Yoga Sutra. Bhagavan will also explain in great detail in Bhagavad Gita. But we have to understand this. So we have to understand this very clearly, very nicely, because we generally don't understand it properly, and we fight against that. how you are telling that we should not have attachment? If we don't have attachment, how shall we maintain the family? How shall we take care of our children? If the cow doesn't have attachment to the calf, how she will feed milk to the calf? Many times it happens. The cow doesn't allow the calf to come to it. So this is one point of view. Now there is another point of view that all the problems also come because of the attachment only. But because of the attachment, we are blinded. Attachment blinds us. It makes us weak. Our power of deliberation becomes very weak due to attachment. Our power of fighting against our problems becomes very weak because of the attachment. So we have to understand and recognize that. Until and unless we understand and recognize that, we cannot live happily. Now that doesn't mean that you have to give up your job and come to Vrindavan. You have to give up your family. No. First, you have to recognize the attachments. Bhagavan also had family. Just like I said, that there is a blind attachment and there is an attachment with deliberation and there is a stage beyond all attachment. So that is Bhagavan. So there is a Duryodhan, there is Arjun, and there is Krishna. So Duryodhan, we understood about him. Arjun is of the second type, who has attachment but also has deliberation. And such a person is always in stress and tension because he is always deliberating. So now what is the solution? Either you become blind like Duryodhan because he is a son of a blind person. It's such an amazing plot in Mahabharata that although he may be physically blind, Dhritarashtra, but he is blind in his deliberation, and that is this real blindness. Surdas, he was such a great devotee. So we want this inner eyes, the third eye, what we say. That is its significance. Arjun is a man of deliberation when he is in problem. So there are two solutions only. Either you become like Duryodhan, stop deliberating, or become like Krishna, where you rise beyond the stage of this material attachment. So Bhagavan also had family. He had 16,108 wives and he had 10 children from each of them. You may have one or two children. I'm not telling you to leave them. But Bhagavan showed that I had such a big family and I was without attachment. And Bhagavan never ignored anybody. He trained, he educated everybody. But when he started walking, he just left everyone and went. So this Preeti, Prema, it's a different substance. And this Daya, Kripa, compassion, this Mamata, possessiveness is different. This worldly Prema or love, what we say, this is just Kriya or action oriented and Shabda word oriented. And the spiritual love, that is Bhava Pradhan. It is mostly about Bhava. So if you have love towards somebody, first thing is you have to always tell to him that I love you. So there is research on that, and it is said that you should speak like this 4 or 5 times to your partner. Otherwise, the relation will get destroyed or damaged. And there should be some continuous activity also. If you have to give rose flower to somebody, don't give all roses immediately. Just give one each day. So if you say that no, all the roses I'll give you in one day, no, that is not sufficient. Every day you have to give and every day you have to profess your love. But Bhagavan is not like that. He is Bhavagrahi Janardhan. He is hungry only for Bhava. So even if you give some flower, leaf, fruit out of bhava, it's enough. In spiritual world, bhava is primary. In material world, kriya or action and shabda or words are primary. Because here everything is external. Because things are changing. So we'll deliberate more on that. If you have any question now, you can ask. If you have any question, you can kindly ask. So question, thank you for the insightful class. Can you please elaborate on, as long as we are attached, we will remain unhappy. How does one translate this into practical day-to-day life or dealings? What does it mean to be unattached in context of our lives? So the answer, the whole Bhagavad Gita is all about this only. The second, third, fourth chapters, they are all about this. So the attachment is the primary reason. So here Bhagavan will tell that we, who am I? Bhagavan will explain. We keep identifying ourselves with all these relations, but they will go away. They will not remain with us permanently. So that is the cause of our grief. We have attachment to somebody, and that object of our attachment is temporary. That will go away. I told this earlier also. Everything is temporary here. When that object of attachment will go away, we will grieve, will suffer. Or somebody causes some damage to our object of attachment, we will suffer. So when we understand that this is not the ultimate reality, there is something beyond this, so we will try to protect it. But when it goes away from us, we will not grieve, because we know that one day it is going to go away. There is nothing in this world which will not be separated from us. That is guaranteed. It is nothing like that. Now, when something is destined to be separated from us, if we become attached to that, then we are bound to suffer. That's why there is Vishada, or grief. Why does Gita begin with Vishada Yoga? Because that is the reality of this world. And Bhagavan explains how to get rid of that. That will be explained further in Gita.
मोहिनी जी पूछ रहे हैं बाबा जी.
So the question, I have a question about Duryodhan. Is this true that by influence of Yoga Maya, he just played a role in Prakat Leela to teach us? But actually Duryodhan is a Nitya Parikar of Krishna. These kind of questions have no value. They are not required. What I am trying to teach, you are not trying to understand. Even if he is a Nitya Parikar, how does that make any difference? Arjun is also a Nitya Parikar. Even if he is not a Nitya Parikar, does it make any difference? What is important for us is to understand why Gita is spoken. Okay, if, let's say he is a Nitya Parikar, how does that bring any change in your life?
शैलेश जी पूछ रहे हैं.
Next question. If one doesn't have attachment for one's relations, relatives, etc., would not the intensity of such relations diminish?
रिश्तों का शक्ति घटता नहीं, इंटेंसिटी बोल रहे हैं.
कम हो जाएगी तुम्हारी, और क्या?
रिश्तों का शक्ति
क्या है वो शक्ति? रिश्ते की क्या शक्ति होती है?
So the answer, what is that intensity of such relation?
उनका पूछना है कि अगर आसक्ति नहीं रखते रिश्तेदारों से, तो ऐसे जो रिश्ते रहते हैं उसका शक्ति घटता नहीं है, पूछ रहे हैं.
तो वो मैं पूछ रहा हूँ ना, शक्ति से क्या?
So that's what I am asking. What do you mean by the intensity, word intensity in the context of relation?
तो एक इसको आप समझ लीजिए, क्योंकि ये
So please try to understand, because this thought comes again and again in mind. That's what I'm trying to explain. It's difficult to understand. One is asakti or attachment and other is prema. Why am I using the word asakti or attachment? Because in this world we use the word prema and not asakti. But I am using two different words, asakti and prema. Prema is towards Bhagavan, and in this word, what we called prema, that is not prema, that is asakti or attachment, material attachment. So this material attachment, it is the cause of grief. If you remove that from your relatives, and if you have prema, then the relation that you will have will be based on prema and not attachment. But that prema is only possible when you bring Bhagavan in the center, because prema is only possible towards Bhagavan, and then you will visualize other relatives in relation to Bhagavan, and you will understand that Bhagavan has only made them our relatives. Bhagavan has given them in my life, so I will see them in relation to Bhagavan. So then I will not have asakti for them, I will have prema for them. So if somebody dies, then I will think that Bhagavan had given that person to me, and now Bhagavan has taken him or her away. So when Bhagavan gave, then I did not have any problem. But when Bhagavan is taking away, then why should I have a problem? But we don't think like that. So we criticize Bhagavan when somebody in our family or relation dies. Why God took him or her away? So try to understand that this so-called worldly love, it is not a prem, it is asakti, and its root cause is avidya, ignorance or ajnana, and one can never become happy or from ajnana. Prema is the Shakti of Bhagavan. So you can have either Asakti for your relations or you can have Prema. Asakti will bring grief or suffering, and Prema will give happiness. So you have to understand the difference between Asakti and Prema. Until and unless you don't understand this difference, till that time these kind of questions will keep cropping up in the mind.
बाबाजी अगर वेस्टर्न लोगों को बचपन से ही अलग धर्म पढ़ाया
Next
जाता है
question.
तो
If
अगर
the
उनसे किसी को
Western
प्यार करते
people
हैं
from
तो वो
childhood,
धर्म हुआ
they are
इसमें
taught
उनका कोई
about
दोष नहीं
different dharma, and they follow different dharma, so that becomes their dharma. It is not their fault. So I am not telling that there is any fault. I am not pointing out any fault in any dharma.
मेरा मतलब था कि अगर वो मांस मच्छी खाते हैं तो फिर ऐसे वो ऐसे कार्य करते हैं जो हमारे धर्म में अनुचित है, तो फिर अगर उससे उन्हें पुण्य नहीं और पाप मिलता है तो फिर इसमें उनका क्या दोष है अगर वो अपने धर्म का ही पालन कर रहे हैं?
क्योंकि उनके धर्म में भी लिखा हुआ है जीवों पर दया करना.
So in their religion also it is said that we should have compassion on jivas. Simply eating non-vegetarian food. They don't study their relation. They simply say that this is my dharma. So who studies about dharma? You check in your classroom. How many of your classmates have studied about dharma? How many parents studied dharma? How many parents are teaching dharma to their children? And Bharat is the dharmic country, so it's just saying this is my dharma, that is my dharma. Nobody is studying actually.
मेरे प्रश्न का प्रयोजन यह था कि
So Moiniji's question to her previous question, that the prayojan of the knowledge whether Duryodhan is a Nitya Parikar or not can increase humility. One can feel authentic danya. Oh, this Duryodhan is actually just playing a role, but I am in reality this personal character of Duryodhan. Can danya be the prayojan of this knowledge?
दुर्योधन के ऊपर दैन्य
तो कर लो दुर्योधन के ऊपर, मैं मना कर रहा हूँ क्या?
So if you want to have danya bhav towards Duryodhan, do it. You praise Duryodhan and be happy.
I'm not enemy.
I have no problem. I am.
Explain the mentality of human beings. That this is how human beings are. This is what was. दुर्योधन से क्या प्रयोजन है? मेरा कोई प्रयोजन नहीं.
So I have nothing to do with Duryodhan. Neither we have prayojan with Duryodhan or with Arjun. I am simply trying to teach here what the Gita is teaching. If you want to have kripa for Duryodhan, you make his murti and worship him. I have no problem.
कि नहीं खुद के ऊपर दया निभाओ क्योंकि मैं दुर्योधन की जैसा हूँ और
The
मैं भी एक बद्ध जीव हूँ
तो फिर मेरी बात क्यों नहीं सुनते हो आप मेरी
so
बात
the
नहीं सुनते,
follow-up
अपनी बात
is
चलाते रहते हो।
follow-up is
उसी
that
उसी को तो मैं
no,
बोल
I
रहा
am
हूँ
talking about then about
कि
myself. So the
दुर्योधन
answer
को
is that you don't listen to me.
Why
You
don't
just
talk
keep
about
blabbering
yourself?
about yourself.
दुर्योधन then
You should ask question about
पूछो
yourself.
पूछिए
Why
दुर्योधन
do you bring Duryodhan and all in the picture?
First
You
you
are
talk
simply
about Duryodhan,
deviating the
then I say
class.
Duryodhan is not the
First you
point.
talk
Then
about
no, I
Duryodhan,
talk
then
about
I say
Duryodhan,
that
then
no,
why talking
Duryodhan is
about
not the
myself?
point.
तो शुरू से ही तुम अपनी बात क्यों नहीं करते?
So from beginning, why don't you talk about yourself?
Why don't you bring your own issue from the very beginning? पहले से ही क्यों नहीं बोलते आप? काय को दुर्योधन नित्य परिकरण
Why are you
दैन्य
not talking
करेगा
about
सब
yourself, bringing Duryodhan and all this, have kripa?
तो कम से कम प्रश्न पूछो तो पहले पूछो कि मैं
So
किस
when you
हेतु से
ask
पूछ रहा
some
हूँ
question,
मेरा
first
प्रयोजन
you
क्या
should
है
think, why am I asking this question? What do I want to
मेरा
gain by
अध्ययन
asking
करो
this question? Should
क्वेश्चन
study my
क्वेश्चन
article,
अच्छी तरह से
question
पढ़ो
the question, study it
क्योंकि
properly.
गीता में आप यही देखेंगे अर्जुन भी अगर
You
ऐसे
will see this
बिना
in
प्रश्न
Gita.
पूछता रहता तो
If
क्या
Arjun
करता
would also have asked
उसको
all
बोलते थे
this kind of bogus
जाओ
questions, then Bhagavan would not have continued Gita. He would have told just
प्रश्न
leave
पूछो
it,
जिनका कोई प्रयोजन
or
हो
go home. So ask questions which are
जिनका
relevant,
कोई प्रयोजन नहीं है उन्हें ऐसे
which
प्रश्न
are
पूछने से क्या
beneficial.
होता है
What is the point of asking all these kind of questions?
उत्कर्ष जी पूछ रहे हैं राधे राधे महाराज आपने बोला जो महान पुरुष होते हैं
So next
उनका
question,
आसक्ति का
you
क्षेत्र बड़ा
said
होता
that
है
those who are
अगर
great
क्षेत्र
people,
बड़ा होने से
they
उनके
have
अंदर
wide
से
field of
भटकाव
attachment.
नहीं होगा
What
नहीं
does
होता
it
है
mean to
मैंने
have wide
यही
field
बात
of
समझाई
attachment?
आपको
Can they not get deviated? Yeah, it is possible.
तो
For example, like
जब
if you take
उनका
Mahatma Gandhi,
आसक्त नहीं है
he was
कई
not
समय
just
होता है
attached
अगर
to
मैंने
his
कुछ बोल
family,
दिया
he
कि
worked
समस्या
for
का
his
स्वरूप
country.
सोचते हैं
I
समस्या का
just gave
स्वरूप
an
ये है
example
कि
that they
अर्जुन और
think
अर्जुन
beyond
में
their
आसक्ति
family.
है तो
Now,
बहुत
the
सारे
problem is
लोग
with
अर्जुन
Arjun
की भी
also.
आसक्ति है अर्जुन की भी
So
आसक्ति है
Duryodhan also has attachment, Arjun also has attachment.
इसका मतलब ये नहीं
Arjun
कि वो
has
आसक्त
wide
नहीं है
field of
इसका मतलब ये नहीं
attachment.
कि वो भटकाऊ नहीं है वो भी
It
भटकाऊ
doesn't
है
mean that Arjun is not getting deviated
उसको
here
भी
and there.
समाधान
Yes,
देंगे
he is.
लेकिन
And
दुर्योधन को
Bhagavan will
समाधान
also
तक नहीं
solve that.
पहुंचेगा
But Duryodhan will not even reach till the
क्योंकि
solution.
ये समस्या ही नहीं है
For
ये
Duryodhan,
समाधान ही है
interestingly, he has no problem only.
उनके मन में इस विचार ही नहीं
Like
आता
I
कि
told
मेरी कोई
about
समस्या
the
है
people today, they don't even think
अर्जुन
that they have a
छूटा हुआ
problem.
है
Arjun
केवल
is having this deliberation, this
भगवान को छोड़ेगा
thinking
नहीं
that he
और
is
पुण्य दोषों
in
उभरता रहेगा
problem.
इतना
He will
सब
ask
कुछ करने
Bhagavan,
के बाद भी वो
even
कहेगा
after
कि
giving
मुझे
so much lecture
मेरी
to
तकलीफ
Bhagavan,
हो रही है धर्म की
he will
तकलीफ हो
tell
रही है
that my mind is getting bewildered
तो
about
इसके लिए
dharma.
एक धैर्य चाहिए
So for that we need some
एक
patience, dhairya,
दृढ़ता
need some determination,
और वीरता चाहिए
and we need
अर्जुन
courage,
को जब वीर
bravery.
कहा जाता है वो
So
बाहर से
Arjun,
वीर
when he
नहीं
is called
अंदर से
brave,
वीर है
courageous,
अज्ञान से
definitely
ज्ञान
he
के
is
लिए वीर है
courageous in the external battle,
उसने केवल
but
ऐसा नहीं
he is
किया
even
कि
brave and
सामने से
courageous
लड़
to
लिया
fight against his ignorance.
अपना जो कुछ बोल
He
रहा है
just he did not
वो
accept the
उसके लिए सहमत
ignorance.
नहीं है
Whatever Arjun is telling to Bhagavan, actually he is not
जब
agreeable to
भगवान
him,
बोलते
his
हैं
own
उसके
point
लिए
of view
स्वीकार
also.
नहीं कर लेता
And
है
when Bhagavan
वो
also says
समझता
something,
रहता है पूछता
he
जाता है
doesn't agree
जब तक
blindly
उसकी
to that.
समझ में नहीं
He
बैठती
keeps counter questioning when he doesn't understand.
तो इसलिए
So that is
मैंने
why,
कहा कि जो बड़े लोग होते हैं जिनको
as
हम
I
महात्मा
said,
कहते हैं वो
that the great people whom we call as Mahatma, that is
अपना
from
कोई
a
अपना
material point of view.
भगवान का भक्त
Actual
नहीं है
Mahatmas are the devotees
वो
of
जीवन
Bhagavan
भर
only,
थक जाता है
because they only can go to the real depth of the matter.
उत्कर्ष जी फिर से पूछ रहे महाराज
So next
हमें
question, we
भगवत
have
गीता
a lot of deviation, we
इससे
get
कैसे
deviated in life.
इससे डील
How do
करने
we
के लिए
deal with
समाधान
those
ढूंढना है
deviations? So in order to
मैंने
deal
बार
with
बार
those
बताया कि इसी का
deviations,
समाधान
continue
भगवान ने
hearing Bhagavad
दिया है
Gita. Bhagavad Gita is meant to
भगवत
solve
गीता
this
जितना
bewilderment and
बहुत
deviations in our life
बेनिफिशियल हो
only. As of now,
उसको
Bhagavan has not
इससे
started giving a solution only.
पहले
Right
समस्या को
now,
समझो
Bhagavad Gita is explaining what is the
समाधान
problem.
तक जाइए
So as of now,
तभी आप
please
समस्या
focus
को
on
समझ पाएंगे
understanding the problem.
अगर आप समस्या को नहीं
Get into
समझेंगे
the depth of the problem. We have not
वास्तविक नहीं
understood our
जानेंगे
problem
कि वास्तव
nicely.
में आसक्ति कहाँ है
No, we should deliberate
अपने
properly.
अपनी आसक्ति को ढूंढिए मेरी
Where
आसक्ति
is
कहाँ पर है
our attachment? We should deliberate.
बैठ के
What all are the things
सोचिए
to which or to whom
कहाँ मेरा
people to
मन
whom I am attached?
भटकता है
Where does my
किसके
mind
जाने
get
से मेरे को
immersed
दुख
in?
होता है किसके आने से मेरे को
On
सुख होता
whose
है इसको
leaving I
समझिए
feel grief, on whose coming I feel
इसको
happy.
नहीं
We should
समझेंगे
try to
तो भगवान
deliberate
की बात आप
on
समझ
this
ही
and
नहीं पाएंगे
understand the problem. Because until and unless we understand our attachment, our problems clearly, we will not understand Bhagavan's solution clearly. Now Arjun will start speaking. So it is very important to understand this with lot of deliberation in depth. If somebody gets fever, why he is getting fever? There can be viral, dengue fever, bird flu, so many things. So simply telling fever is not sufficient. You have to go deep into that. Why there is fever? So accordingly, medicines will be prescribed. So you should think about this with a lot of deliberation, and then your name Utkarsh will become successful. So now you should deliberate. Your name is Utkarsh. So you have to achieve that Utkarsh. You should not live in Apkarsh. You should move towards towards Utkarsh. So now this will be a long discussion.
Sujani, you can translate.
Haribol, Bhagavati has a question. What does it mean to practice, to visualize family in relation with Bhagavan?
I said, मैंने उसका उत्तर दिया था पहले.
The question is, what does it mean to visualize family in relation to Bhagavan? So I already answered that. Everything's center is Bhagavan. Everything comes from Bhagavan only. In Gita, Bhagavan will say that. And everything belongs to Bhagavan only. But we have this possessiveness and proprietorship feeling towards these people, our relatives, our country. But how does it belong to me? How is it mine? When this body will be taken away, when it will die, then we'll lose all this. But Bhagavan is always there. So everything belongs to him only. So we have to see in relation to this. You have to understand that Bhagavan has given all this to me. Otherwise, we will always remain caught up in this me and mine. We have to behave like this, that he is my son. And from behavioral point of view, we don't deal like that, oh, he is Krishna's son. No. Bhagavan were also, when he was behaving, he was addressing people with his relations. In his human-like pastimes, he has done like that. So we behave like that. But internally, we have to get this understanding, this wisdom. As I am telling that in the spiritual life, this bhava is important. So people become bewildered by the kriya and they forget the bhava. So the bhava is important. That is Krishna bhavana.
ठीक है, चलो अभी अपने श्लोक उच्चारण करते हैं. कहाँ गया हमारा? सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपाल नंदनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मंत्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेतः यच्छ्रेयः सानिश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम् यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर् ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजंघ्रये भवे भवे यथा भक्तिः पादयोस्तव जायते तथा कुरुष्व देवेश नाथस्त्वं नो यतः प्रभो नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनं प्रणामो दुःखशमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम् हरि ओम तत्सत्।